So we'll have Rick here to start about 15-ish minutes or so, and the microphones are around. Please speak into it so that we can pick them up. We have them on both sides of the room. Raise your hand. Ask a question. Rick Tocchet knows who you all are.
I just had some exit meetings with some players, so I have to do it after you guys. So I'm in exit meeting mode right now. So this is what you guys have to approve on. Thomas, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Are you staying in Vancouver? I know. I'm kidding.
All right. Back to this off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Rick, you talked about having some exit meetings here. What is the tone and the type of conversations that you're having with players here as you head into the offseason?
Yeah, from my experience, they're 15 minutes. Like, so you're not gonna. It's more of a follow-up. You know what? From my experience, you know, you want to really get to the chase right away because you know you have a relationship with players. You see them all the time, but it's more of a follow-up. You know, but there is stuff how to improve. What went well, what didn't. You know, their suggestions, things like that. So you try to cram it in, but these are just for other conversations down the road, for sure.
It was different this year because there were a few weeks leading up to the season ending, so I'm sure you had some time to reflect. But now that it's finished, how do you look back on this year, and what do you think you take away from it as a coach, and what did you learn?
For me personally, you know, from trying to take a breath from it, you look at it. You know, obviously, it's not the season you want. You know, you hear different words, oh, what a disaster, and things like that. And then you look, well, you know, only 2, 3, whatever points from the playoff spot, but that doesn't curtail the, you know, that we didn't make the playoffs. So we have to look at, everybody's got to look at each other. What could have been different? And that's, you know, that's for a longer conversations, and you know, a deep dive, like I said to you guys a while ago. But yeah, it's been a hard year. It's been a hard year, but it's also been a year where you can improve by learning these lessons, the adversity. You know, we've talked about that too. So including myself, you know, being better in certain situations. What, you know, I don't like to play the game what if hindsight, but there is some situations that happen. You know, if I did something different, what would have happened better? You have to look at yourself as a coach and think of those things, for sure.
Rick, is it a different dynamic at all conducting exit interviews when your future is a little unclear at this point? And you said the other night that it would be a few days, and I know that you'll negotiate and talk with Jim and Patrick, but just on a surface level, do you want to be back here?
Well, I mean, of course you want to be back here, but there's a process you have to go through, right? You know, I haven't really, you know, all year I haven't breathed. You know, I did, you know, during the time off, I was at Four Nations. You know, you're trying to get this team to the playoffs, dealing with all that stuff. So I haven't really thought of myself. I know people don't believe that. It's not, but, you know, sure, at nighttime you think, hey, you know, what am I going to do? You think of those thoughts, but, you know, I do have to take a breath and go through. I think out of respect, both sides, you have to go through the process. You have to. And I understand, you know, I know the next question is going to be, well, how much time do you need? Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, you know, I can't sit on a couch and, you know, it's not, you know, I'll decide when I decide. I mean, obviously there's a time frame, but right now for me, I mean, there's a process I got to go through with Jim and Patrick, and that's really where it's at.
And is your season over, or with your role at Four Nations, have you been approached by Hockey Canada to coach at the Worlds?
Yeah, I have, but to be honest with you, my thinking is, you know, it's a hell of an honor to represent Canada. I'm a Canada guy, you know, with hockey. It's been a long year. I don't know if I'm going to give them the best version of me, so I think it's better I just sit in the sidelines. And it's a tough one, but that's how I feel.
Rick, you mentioned when asked about your status after Game 82, the idea of a checklist or some of the considerations. I'm sure there's stuff you'll keep to yourself, but are you able to give us and fans just a sense of sort of some of the ground that you want to cover?
I think it's obviously with Jim and Patrick, you know, and with management, talking to certain players. I think it's any coach has to go through a process of that, you know, and you know, take a look at myself. like I said to you guys, like the best version of myself too. That's important. So yeah, you're just, I don't know if that's what's the word? You know, I'm not trying to be a Switzerland answer. I'm just trying to like, you know, give you like, that's in my process, the process of it. I have to go through those things, those checklist things, for sure. Yeah.
Entering this season, you know, with DeBrusque and
Yeah.
Sprong, Heinen, all the wings that were brought in, and what we saw at training camp, you did want to be more of an attacking team or sort of evolve in that direction. As you think about this season and sort of how your team played toward the end, how you had to play, where did that sort of vision kind of lose its way, like as you had to compromise and fill in around injuries? How do you reflect on sort of that experiment over the course of the season?
Well, I think our D took a hit there for stretches early on. You know, we missed on a couple of players. You know, take responsibility. I have to take responsibility too. A couple of guys didn't pan out. A little bit of injuries on the D. Then obviously going forward, you know, with Millsy and Petey. You know, Petey's had, you know, obviously had a subpar year. Millsy got traded. You know, those things kind of hampered a little bit. And then sometimes you as a coach have to strategize, or as coaching staff, of, you know, how are you going to stay in games. So that was part of the tweaking or the change sometimes. But that's not an excuse, though. That doesn't mean, you know, I don't know what our numbers are. You know, we're last in shots and all that stuff. In the offense, we're 21st. These aren't excuses. I got to look at a different way to generate more offense. But those keys did hamper some of our thought process, for sure.
Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Elias Pettersson,
Yeah.
the center, not the D-man. From the outset of the season, there was kind of a reluctance on his part to do what he does best. When he's at his best, he plays on instinct, but he never seemed to gain that traction. What's your message to him, or was, in your exit meeting, and what do you need to see from him, or what can he do to get back to at least a level where he can be a number one center?
Yeah.
He isn't right now.
Yeah, it's and you know, that's a good question. Like, you know, I think people understand, like, Elias wants to be a great player, right? And we're here to try to help him to become that great player. So obviously there's some things that I got to be careful what I say, because you guys hang on. If I say reprogram, you guys take it to a different level. No, I just think I think he'll tell you this, that, you know, his preparation has to get better. There's no secret. If you want to be a great player, you have to prepare. Almost an obsessive type of preparation. And I think he got behind the 8 ball early. Then the expectations come, and then there's a little bit of struggle with the team, and he could never gain traction, right? You know, he has to, we've talked about that, move his feet, shoot the puck, you know, change angles. You know, and you know me, I'm an honest guy. He's got to practice better. You have to practice better. And I think those things that he's learning, and do I think he will do those things? I do. I really do. Like, if I think I can bank on him taking this information, going away for 4 months, and make sure that he has a plan, and the plan has to change. You know, I'm not sure he can train the same way, or, you know, the team. I don't know who he's trained. I do kind of know, but I don't. To be honest with you, that's got to change.
Well, that's my follow-up. You can't force him to train how he trains. And then we talked last week about, you know, USA Hockey and the Quinn Hughes gang and the influence, how much Quinn has improved his shot, his strength. A lot of what Elias has to do is strength-related. So how much influence do you think you can have in that regard?
Well, I think, you know, I think he listens. You know, he takes some of my information, but he's also got teammates too that he's got to inspire too, that are doing stuff too. You know, Tyler Myers. You know, he trains really hard. He had a great year for us. You know, Quinn Hughes. What are they doing? Like, I think the inspiration of those guys can help him. You know, Kiefer Sherwood, you know, shooting 1 million pucks this summer, has a career high because of those little things. I think, can he use his teammates as inspiration?
Rick, you've talked so much about the adversity that you faced this year and how adversity can make people better.
Yeah.
What has the adversity you faced as a coach done for you?
That's a good question. I think you have to look at yourself at certain times. Am I too hard on the team? Am I not hard on the team? Can I free up certain things? Can you think outside the box on different practice styles? So when adversity hits, you got to be able to look at yourself in those things. You can't be real strict. No, this is the way it's got to be, and be like, I think when adversity hits, right? Sometimes people are very stubborn. I'm not changing, so I think it's important that you during adversity you have to change a little bit. A lot of meetings this year. I've had more meetings in my life, and that's one of the things I'm usually good at, the communication part. But I always look at myself, was there a meeting I could have did something different to help the situation? That's something sometimes I struggle with because, could I have done something different? And maybe the light bulb will hit this summer, I should have done this. And with our staff too, dealing with some of the stuff that we dealt with.
And in terms of staff, I guess so
Yeah.
much of it is dependent on what happens with your future. But is there anyone that you know for sure is not or is coming back next year?
No, I don't have those answers, but I'll try to be honest with you guys. I think I got to look at the staff, maybe look at a different guy coming in. That's a possibility. Not quite sure the part-time thing works all the time. Got to look at that. I know it's a suggestion about a power play coach. Yogi's a power play coach. I thought he did a really good job. I don't know what we were 12th or 13th, 14th. It's not bad for what has hit the team, but I know the power play is a big thing around here. I'm not quite sure it's something to do with, and I'm not letting myself off the hook because obviously I'm in charge of things. But I think that the messaging might have to be a little different, and maybe the coaching a little bit. The concepts. I think the concepts are good. It's just I don't want to say the buy-in, but it has to be better. There's times when it's a 2-2 game, third period, and we have a power play, and that power play looks awful. I bring it back to Game 7 against Edmonton, 4-minute power play. I don't think we got a shot. That has to change, and that's dealing with pressure and adversity. So we have to think of a way how we can deal with that better, and that falls on me for sure.
Ian, Patrick, and then Farhan.
Hey, Rick, over here.
Yeah.
You said after the last game that, the motto, embrace the hard.
What is, sorry? Which say? Sorry.
Embrace the hard.
Oh, yeah.
And you said you're not sure if you did. So what do you want to see from your team to embrace the hard, to be ready for that?
Yeah. I'm not sure, when I reflect on it, I didn't mind it. I didn't think our training camp was as good as the year before. Now, did we embrace the hard there? Could I have been I kind of kicked myself. Could I have been a little bit harder after training camp? That's something I got to look at myself going into, next year for training camp. Times when, it's going to be hard in the game, and we kind of I don't want to say took the soft route. We didn't go the hard route to lock a game down. Those are the things. Yeah, I don't think we got an A+ on embracing the hard. Is that what you're asking? And that includes myself. I include myself with the players.
And you told us a few minutes ago that Elias would tell us that he needs to train better. Has he told you that? How do you know that he understands he has to have a better
I've talked to him all year about certain stuff, and I know the next question, well, how come he hasn't listened yet? I think he has listened in certain parts. I just don't know, I think he's evolving as a person and as a player to that stature he wants to be. Hopefully he's going to evolve even more. There's a lot of expectations on him. There's a lot of pressure on him. And to deal with pressure, you got to, you ask the best players in the world, they prepare every day mentally and stuff, and I think he's trying to evolve to that level. Is he there yet? No. Are we here to help him? Absolutely. Is his teammates here to help him? Absolutely. But I told Elias, and and I'm going to be quite frank with you guys. I said, we got to meet at the 50-yard line. I'm here, but I'm not going to go to the 75-yard line and make you just walk 25 yards. You got to meet us halfway, and he knows that, and we'll see where it goes.
We've known for a while that PD and JT were not tight. But to see it blow up the way it clearly did, I don't imagine anybody could have thought that would happen. But looking back, was there a way that could have gone differently?
Yeah, and this is obviously a really hard question because I'm a JT Miller fan, and PD. They're both great hockey players. JT played a lot of great hockey for me. Obviously, listen. You guys know that there was some stuff there before even I got here. What level I don't know. I know that obviously we had a really good year the year before, and they had really good years. So you never think it's gonna the smoldering's gonna turn up. Did it get uncomfortable? Yeah. A lot of meetings, a lot of things. Could have something been different? I hear people on the sidelines. If I was coaching or if I was on podcasts, they got to go to dinner and they got to fight it out. I mean, you don't think we've tried all that stuff? It just didn't work out. There's no. And I know everybody's looking for a bad guy. I don't know if there's a bad guy in the thing. It just didn't work out. And at that point, it had to be resolved. Like Jim said, and that's what happened. It's unfortunate because would I not want JT Miller in my lineup? 100%. But at that time, it just couldn't work.
And obviously losing him,
yeah,
you can't replace him exactly. But going forward, what is your recommendation to your bosses in terms of what you guys need to look for this summer in terms of setting your lineup for next year?
Well, you have boxes, right? And you whatever the cap space is and whatever you have in the system, and you try to fill the boxes. Obviously, one of the boxes, listen, you can be competitive, but the center position is vital in the NHL to go anywhere. And that's what we got to strengthen now. Whether it's through trades, free agency, or drafts, or whatever it is, that's what's got to be done. And, I'm not a GM. And that's what, Patrick's, I have an unreal relationship with Patrick. I think he's done a hell of a job trying to get me players. Unfortunately, it just, it's tough to, you just can't go off the street and make them, you got to find them. It's going to be tough. Can you do it by committee? Can you do it by really good defense, great goaltending, and manufacture goals? Yeah, but if there's a dynamic guy out there, let us know.
Rick, there's there's certainly a lot of feeling from the outside that Elias Pettersson might not be a Rick Tocchet type of player.
Yeah.
And you've talked about the areas of growth that you need to see in him to evolve and meet you at the 50-yard line. He's 6 years into his career. He's not necessarily a kid anymore.
Right.
Can you win with Elias Pettersson as a centerpiece?
Yeah, I do, because I think there's something there. I don't know that I just, I balk at he's not my type of player. I've coached all different types. I think today's game, you have to play fast. You got to think fast. All the best players are that. That doesn't mean you have to be a speedster, but I think you have to think that way. And, if that's a rift because Petey thinks he got to play the game slow and he doesn't want to move his feet.
Maybe more from a character standpoint.
Yeah. Well, character standpoint? Yeah. Oh, he's a great kid. Like, we have a lot of, I have a lot of time for him. Whether he's never told me he disagrees with my thought process. I wish he did, because maybe that would help. But, he's a shy kid. He's a shy kid. And I think that, he's got a letter on his chest, that's for a reason. So, I'd like to see him take that role a little bit farther. Now, I don't think he thinks I'm harsh because of that, but I want him to be a leader on this team and have a voice. But you also have to make sure that you portray that to your teammates and on the ice. And I think he has it in him, and he's going to need some help, and he's going to have to take a deep dive in himself, too.
The core of this team, when you came here, looked a lot different then than it does now, especially when you lose a player like JT. He's a foundational piece. It changes what you look like down the middle. The next key piece is Quinn. And at the end of next season, he's going to have to make a decision, right? Or, he could wait longer, but he could extend at that point. Yeah. As you go through your process, how important is it to you that you feel really confident that you might have him long term?
Yeah. It's a good question because I'm very lucky to have a guy, like he's one of the best players in the league. You know, there's a 50-game stretch. He might arguably be there, that 50 games there. You could have put him as the number one guy or two or 1A or 2B, C or whatever. He was playing terrific hockey for us. And there's a bit of runway before he has to make any decisions. But one thing's a constant with him. I mean, you know, we had lunch the other day, and it's like, I know he's obsessed about how he's going to improve his game, how he can get this team back in the playoffs, how he can become a better leader, and how he can deal with things. But that's evolving. But you know, there's some runway there. You know, and he has the, you know, listen, a guy like him, he has the, you know, he should sit back and kind of analyze things. But I know one thing, the short-term thing for him is he's going to do this summer. I mean, he's already got thinking about his training. Like this is the guy you want on your team, right? I got this guy doing it. He's got a new guy training this. He's going to be doing this. He's got to he's going to have a couple of his teammates train with him in his elite group of guys are training. That's what a leader does, and that's what he's thinking about. I'm not sure he's thinking about his contract or what's going on down the road because there is some runway, and you got to respect a kid for that.
Thank you.
Good? Okay, guys.
Brock, I'll start with you. When we talked to you the other day, you spoke about not really wanting to reflect on things until the season was over, but now that it is, how do you look back on the year and how do you look forward at an uncertain summer?
Yeah, I mean, look back on the year, obviously we're frustrated. We wanted to make the playoffs, and you know, when you're that close to making the playoffs and you fall short, you look back and you wonder what you could have done differently and how you could have been better for the team. So, you know, I really wish we weren't sitting here right now and we're preparing to play in the playoffs, but we aren't. So, you got to close that book and look forward to the future.
Quinn, there's a lot of debate about the direction this organization needs to go, especially, you know, you trade a player like JT away, it changes the foundation of a team. And many believe that the most important thing is that they make you happy because you're a year away from being extension eligible and you want to win very badly. What do you want to see from this organization, you know, in the next 12 months to put you in a position to maybe want to be here longer?
I mean, I think that everyone that's here just wants to be a part of a winning team, and so I don't think anyone's, you know, too concerned about making me happy. Just about being a successful organization, and I think that's the main goal for everyone here, and definitely feel like we can do that.
Thatcher, you're obviously coming off an illness here. Can you give us a sense of sort of what the last week was like for you, and also just reflect on this season, given, you know, some of the difficulties that you endured over the course of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously came into it in a tough situation, and you know, it was a frustrating year. It was tough mentally, physically. But you know, like I felt like I came out of that second injury like feeling really good about where I was headed, in the direction of just kind of educating myself on where I was at physically, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be going into the summer healthy and feeling really good, and I think that was really important. Something that I was focused on kind of coming down the stretch here, and yeah, so I'm really excited to move forward and feeling really good.
I'll follow up on that, Thatcher. So there's probably not many guys who are so excited about getting to summer training, but how confident are you if you kind of get back to a summer routine or whatever you want to do versus last summer, that you're going to have a season next year maybe similar to the one you had 2 years ago when you came back from an injury?
Yeah, I don't see myself as like a different guy. You know, I still know that I'm capable of playing that way. You know, being a Vezina nominee, and like you said, like last summer, I had no idea what was going on, quite frankly, and I think that played it had a toll on me mentally and physically, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I have a team around me now. I have a lot of smart minds that are kind of contributing to building a plan for me, and like I said, just going into the summer feeling really healthy and feeling excited to get back in the gym and build myself back up.
Brock, just to go back to the point about things that you wish had been different in terms of how the season went, what is the thing that you think maybe you guys could have done differently or took in a different course?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It was a roller coaster of a year, and you know, we were banged up with injuries. You know, there's a lot of noise around our team this year, and you know, I think just kind of within that all that noise, I kind of just wish that we kind of went in our room and maybe kind of squashed that noise a little earlier, maybe before some games, and just kind of refocused. I feel like we kind of let the noise creep in to our room a bit, and I think we started playing not good hockey, and yeah.
Quinn, Brock mentions the noise, and Rick, you know, came in here earlier as well, and we talked about the JTPD situation. I mean, teams go through adversity. That seems to be a difficult, or different at least, type of adversity than the norm. How tough was it for you as the captain of this team to kind of navigate through all of that?
Yeah, I mean, there are some challenging times for sure, but I think, you know, it just comes down to it that, you know, everyone's got to be better, and we need guys that, you know, elevate their game, and that's all it comes down to. So it's not about one guy or Millsy or Petey. You look at 82 games, it's, you know, 24 guys on a roster or whatever it is. It's not two guys, and, you know, I think everyone should be held accountable, not just, you know, we're going to put it on that for, why we're in this position this year.
Thatcher, later this summer, you're going to be extension eligible. Do you anticipate at some point possibly talking about a new contract with the team? Or given everything that happened this year, do you anticipate maybe playing next season out and taking it further down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be a Canuck since day one. I want to be here. Obviously, drafted here, and yeah, I mean, I'd like to get an extension done and stay here. Obviously, that's something that Patrick and my agent will start talking about. But I'll let them focus on that. I'm focused on getting myself back to where I know I can be, and everything will play itself out.
Hey, Hughes. Hi. Forgot I'd ask you a question, the other guys out there. It's been a great season for you. I don't know if you've proved anything to yourself. You've always been a guy who can play up and down the lineup and been a key cog on the PK. What did this season mean to you, setting a career mark for goals, and do you think you can take it to another level?
Yeah, I mean, I felt always that's kind of where I can be, that 20 mark especially. I always felt like they're up for grabs for me, and obviously worked out this year well in that regard. So, yeah, why not?
Brock, Ian asked you before the game the other day what you're most proud of over the last few years as a Canuck. You said you'd think on it. Wondering if you could get back to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, geez, I don't know. I just feel like, being a Canuck, just being in this city and, within the organization, I think just all the relationships I've made, this place, the first couple of years when you're a young guy, you come here, you're young, it's kind of your first time moving away from home, or I guess a little farther away from home. And it just started to feel like home more and more as I grew old here. And, now it feels like home to me. And, I have a girlfriend from here. And so, if this is it, I'm sure I'll be back a lot. So it'll always be home to me.
Brock, if you get to free agency, obviously there's going to be a lot of things, I'm sure, that go into your decision of where you're going to continue your career. You're going to get paid regardless. But I wonder about how important is winning at this stage? Like, you've been here the better part of a decade. It's one thing that the organization and the group hasn't been able to do enough of. How much does that weigh on you at this stage of your career to, find a place that you can dig in and win?
Yeah, it weighs on me a lot. And, all I want to do is win. And, last year was so fun when we were winning and playoffs and that whole experience. It was a blast. It was the most fun I've had in my career. So I definitely think that's going to play a big part into, if I do make it there, in my decision.
Quinn, we've seen this team, across the last 6 years hit really high levels here and there, whether it was, 2020, even the second half with Bruce, and then obviously last season. Why has it been difficult, do you think, for this group to sort of sustain or build on success when it's come?
It's a good question. I mean, obviously there's a lot of unforeseen things that happened this year. I think we only had 2 guys play full 82 games. Obviously, Demmer having the year that he had last year for us, and then, losing that for a portion of the year. Losing Millsy, losing PD and Hedo. I think Hronek missed 21 games. I missed 14, where the previous year I played 82. A bunch of different things, I think, all came together. But, really there's no excuses. And, we just need to be better. And that's the reality. I don't think you can sit up here and talk about this or talk about that. Just the truth is that every person needs to be better. Everyone in the organization.
And Quinn, Rick mentioned that you've got your summer training plans sort of coming together for Michigan in terms of what you're going to do and who's going to be training with you. What can you share with us about what the plan is for this summer?
Yeah, I've always been a big believer, and you can. take big steps in the summer, and over the course of my career, just finishing my 6th year, I've continued to get better, and I think that the summer really helps. And I know last year in the summer, a big thing for me was I knew that I wasn't going to have the All-Star break, with 4 Nations and different things, and to try to stay healthy. And some things happened that were a little bit unlucky, but I think coming into this summer, it's going to be big on just trying to get my body feel as good as I possibly can, so that I can play 82 games the way I want to play, and then also hopefully Olympics and playoffs.
Quinn, it felt like every time this year that you guys kind of got over a hump, like there was a new piece of adversity to go through. What do you feel like you learned about yourself as a captain through all that?
I mean, I can't give you an answer there right now, just because the season ended 48 hours ago. I think it'd be premature to reflect on it right now, but over the coming month and a half, 2 months in summer, I'll try to take certain things and try to grow and get better, where hopefully this year can help me for next season.
Thatcher, I know you want to be back here. The organization also made a commitment to Kevin this year with his extension, so it doesn't necessarily lock him in as a starter or anything like that, but it certainly means a bigger role for a player like him, which might mean fewer games for you, and they've talked about that in terms of what the sweet spot is around your health and things like that. Would that work for you, right, in terms of a 1A, 1B situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lynx deserved every dollar he got. He had a great season for us this year. He kept us alive, quite frankly, through stretches of the season, and he's been a great goalie partner for me. I've really enjoyed working with him and having him around. And yeah, I mean, they committed to him, and I don't think that changes, where I feel or how I feel about coming back or being here. Like I said, I've enjoyed working with him, and I think that relationship would be really healthy.
Puce, when you initially signed in Vancouver, it wasn't until August of that offseason. Are you wanting to get a deal done sooner? Are you wanting to come back to Vancouver, or are you wanting to test free agency? What's your thought process going into the offseason here?
Yeah, definitely earlier in August this time. Yeah, I mean, the organization knows kind of roughly where we stand. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, it works out. I like being here, like I said. So we'll see if everything works out. And if not, it's going to be July 1st. So I haven't really said on either thing.
Quinn, Rick talked to us about how he believes PD needs to prepare himself better for the season. We talk a lot about how you prepare yourself. Is there a role you can play in helping him find his way?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think that, every guy, you get in what you put out. Every guy's gonna, has to train the way they want to train, do what they want to do. I've always been a, big believer in PD, and, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
All right, thank you.
Connor, start with you. Just now that the season's done, how do you reflect on it, both from a personal perspective and from a team perspective, ultimately being here chatting with us right now and not being where you guys wanted to be as a group?
Yeah, obviously a disappointing season from where expectations were for us. You know, going into training camp, I know a lot of us had high hopes in the summer to build on what we created last year, and then to kind of have the year we had. You know, it's you know, right now probably hard for a lot of us in there to wrap our head around just, you know, how it all unfolded. But you know, as the days and the weeks go on, I'm sure we'll do a lot more reflecting on it.
Jake, coming in this season, having the season you did and the season you had with the team, just your takeaways from the year.
Yeah, it was obviously, you know, it was a pretty crazy one. There was lots of things that happened throughout the whole season. You know, my first year here, getting to meet these guys, just get used to everything. There were some highs and lows. But at the same point, you know, I think that obviously when you don't, you know, get to the playoffs, I think that's why I came here, was to try to help win. And, you know, unfortunately, we're sitting here talking to you right now.
Tyler, I'm just curious. We've seen this group in your time here hit some pretty high levels, in multiple playoff runs or big stretches, 60 games under Bruce down the stretch where it seemed like you couldn't lose. And it seems like it's been difficult for this sort of group to sustain success or build off of it. How do you sort of reflect on that?
I mean, there's been a lot of turnover that, you know, that makes it tough sometimes to develop a little bit of consistency. But, you know, I've said it a bunch. I think there's more parity in the league now more than ever in my time. I think any team, you look at every team in the playoffs right now, I think anybody can beat anybody. And I think that's great for the league. And it just tells me that, you know, how quickly things can change. And, you know, every team is striving, you know, for that consistency to be a contender every year. And that's what we're striving for, excuse me. But, you know, I think you just got to, you know, not look too far ahead and just keep focusing on the day-to-day. You know, I'm a firm believer in just, you know, worrying about what's happening right now, not looking too far ahead in the future, and just keep building on the positives.
I asked this to Quinn earlier. I'll ask you as one of the leaders as well. All teams go through some level of adversity. What you guys went through in the first half of the season was a little different, with the, you know, the JT PD thing and all the drama that surrounded that, and ultimately led to a trade. As a leader, how tough was it to be in the middle of that and trying to help navigate the team through it?
Well, yeah, it was tough. I mean, there's no denying that. You know, a lot of different things went on, and at times it was difficult to handle. But you know, on the flip side of it, I thought guys handled it pretty well. I think there's a lot of things we can take from, you know, what went on this year that, you know, that was, you know, you could look at it that it was encouraging the way guys handled it, and some, you know, some of the adversity that happened and how we came out of it. So, you know, I don't like to dwell too much on the negatives. You know, I really think you got to find the positives in different situations and build off of that. You know, I think talking about the negatives and focusing on that is just wasted energy.
Philip, the mid-season injury, how challenging was that in terms of not being able to contribute while your team was struggling?
Yeah, it's always tough when you just have to watch the games, and I mean, you always want to play, and yeah.
Jake, for you, you know, you've talked at various points in the year about, you know, wanting to have been more consistent and things like that, and probably difficult given the center ice position also moved around a little bit, and, you know, you lose one of the key centers and everything like that. Through it all, you still wind up leading the team in goals and, you know, and up there in terms of your career numbers. So how do you characterize your season?
Yeah, I think it was okay. Oh, there's an echo. I think it was okay. I mean, statistics-wise, yeah, I guess I had my career high in goals, like you said. I mean, that's obviously you want to always get more every year. So I guess that one was checked off. But the way I was scoring was pretty much always in front of the net, kind of tip-ins, rebounds. I didn't really have much rush goals this year. I didn't have goals that I normally score that I have in my whole career. So I think that goes hand in hand with my actual game. I don't think my game was where it needed to be coming into the season. And like you said, kind of with just the different, trying to get used to guys in chemistry and to certain things. I think that I could have done a better job of actually playing my game. I think that would have helped a lot of things instead of kind of waiting for the game to come to me. But at some points, I think there's some good things too, obviously. I think that this year I learned a lot. You learn lots every year you're in this league. You think you see it all, and then things happen. But I think there's lots of positives to take away. I think there's a lot more. I have a lot more room to go. So I'm going to try to keep getting more goals.
Connor, you've known Rick Tocchet for a long time. You've worked with him for a long time. His status of whether or not he's back next year is a little bit up in the air. What has he meant to you as a coach, and would you like to see him back here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've answered this a million times, but I had him when I was younger, and now I'm 29 with a family, so it's a different stage in my life and career, and he's kind of helped me through a lot of the stuff, obviously on the ice as a player, growing, and off the ice. So it means a lot to me as a person and a coach. Very grateful to have him as a 22-year-old and understanding the structure of the game and how to play the right way. And I think every player in the league wants to be a key player on a team that wins a cup or goes deep in the playoffs, not just a team that's at the bottom of the standing. So that's a big difference as a player, and he's one of the major reasons I was able to make that jump.
Connor, this offseason, you're going to have the opportunity to negotiate your next contract, even though you're not a UFA till the end of next year. What are your thought processes going into that, or are you going to play out the season on that expiring contract?
Yeah, well, I don't negotiate. My agent does that, but that'll be all up to them. I just enjoy my summer. I love the city of Vancouver. I've been very grateful to play here for 4 seasons, but I signed 5. For a reason, so we got 1 more, and I just take it day by day, and that's up to people, not me.
And speaking of summer, there's a couple of you who have played at World Championships in the past. As for all of you, really, is anybody going to be going over to Worlds in Europe this year?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm an American. I love my country, and anytime you get to represent your country, I think it's pretty special. I'm grateful to play the game for a living. So, obviously, I'd love to be playing right now in the playoffs with this team, getting ready for it. But I'm going to go over and try to keep working at being a better player come May. I think it's a huge step in the process of being able to play later in the summer in big games. So, something I'll enjoy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, anybody else?
I haven't been invited yet, so.
Yeah, same with him, I guess.
So, Tyler, you talked about turnover in terms of the roster. From the start of the season to the end of the season, the defense changed significantly. Do you have more confidence going into the offseason, going into next season, in the defense that has kind of been built over the course of this season?
For sure. I think you look at our D-core, once the changes were made throughout this year, I think we've, the organization's done a great job. It's quite stable at where it currently stands. So I love where D-core's at. We feel like we're all on the same page with everything. So to have that going forward, it's encouraging for our group.
Another one for you, Tyler. When you're young and you miss the playoffs, you're probably not thrilled with things, but you think, hey, I'm going to have a long career and get lots of chances. When you get to the stage that you're at where you're not going to be able to play forever, is it more frustrating now, feeling like this was, an opportunity flushed?
Yeah, for sure. You start getting to a certain age, you start thinking about that stuff more. And when you don't make it, it probably is that much more frustrating. I think as a young kid, you don't realize you might not get that many opportunities. So when you get a little older, you start to think about it more, and you think about it more the other way too. When you do get that opportunity, you you might feel a little bit more excited just because you are thinking about it.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Elias, we'll start with you. What can you tell us about the injury that you sustained late here in the season that ultimately meant you weren't able to come back?
Yeah, it was an oblique injury. We were pushing to get back, and then when we definitely took longer than we expected. But then when the season was over, and we changed it to like preparing for next season and taking this time to do more work in the gym, etc.
Kevin, coming off a 25-win season, you break an NHL record at the start as well. What are your takeaways from your first year as a Vancouver Canuck?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I've been loving my time here, and obviously going back to the summer, my goal was to find a place where I can showcase myself as a #1 goalie. I was fortunate to get the opportunity here, and yeah, just really liked how everything worked out, and pretty happy with the season.
Petey, I know that Patrick, talked about potential off-season training options for you, maybe staying here. I know Rick also said that, some things in your off-season probably need to change. What are your plans for the off-season, and do you believe you need to do something differently?
I got great resources here. Got great resources back home in Sweden. But yeah, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, just do some extra work before flying home to Sweden.
Petey, again, a couple years ago, you have 100-point season. First half of last year, similar performance. What was the difference between then and now?
Yeah, obviously my playing wasn't to the standard, I guess, what it was those 2 seasons, and yeah, I don't even know what you're trying to get with the question, but yeah, points weren't the same, I guess.
A lot's been made about what happened earlier in the season with you and JT. How difficult was that to go through, and how much did it affect your play?
It's definitely was something I don't think neither of us could prepare for, the way it blew up. Just like that was like the focal point, not if we win or loss, it was like between us. Yeah, maybe we weren't the best of friends, but we respected each other as teammates, and yeah, that's what I want to say.
For Elias.
There's Irish guys there.
You guys have a comfortable room here. No wonder you don't let us in here anymore. Mark Crawford, a former coach of this team, said that the Sedins, Daniel and Henrik, became great players when they stopped falling down, because they had the skill, they had the game, they had the mind. All they had to do was be stronger so they could stay on their feet. Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is to you to get stronger, to get more leg strength?
No, it's that's what I need. Strength doesn't come easy for me. I have to, or everyone trains hard, but didn't get the best genetics from the parents. But no, I know. Obviously, I was dealing with a knee injury last off season that kind of was a little stop in my training last summer, so it was hard to truly train at 100% last summer. But with that being said, I'm just trying to look forward, and Sox were not playing still, but with that being said, I'm going to take this time to take advantage of the extra month of training to come in ready for next season.
At least one from me as well. You've always talked about when you're at your best, you play on instinct. You have the skill level, it's there. Has that dynamic changed in the sense that there's certain things you need to work on to get to a level where you're not just stronger or maybe a bit quicker? Are there things you're going to target in the off season in that respect?
No, I still know when I play at instincts and things just happen up there, then when I play at my best. I think early in the season, maybe I had a kind of wrong mindset that yes, I've signed a big contract and now I have to do more instead of just being me. And then when points didn't come, tend to overthink. So yeah, I mean, I've touched on it before. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to be, but yeah, it's been a lot of adversity this year, but I'm always trying to believe I can grow from it and learn and be better.
Question for Marcus. You came in kind of after everything, the beginning of the season, midway point. What did you notice about the locker room when you came in and how it evolved from February all the way till the end of the season?
Yeah, like you said, I can't really speak on what transpired before, but I feel like I came into a locker room that wants to win. The care factor from all the guys is right there. Everybody loves each other and wants to push each other. So I think we have a young group still, like very young group, and I think we can learn a lot from this year, both on and off the ice. And if we can learn and grow from that, I think we're in a great spot.
Kiefer, this is obviously your first year here in Vancouver, career year for you. Can you talk us through what it's been like for you this season?
Yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, I think emotionally it's been a lot this season, dealing with, you know, all the adversity that our team has faced. But I think as players, you just try to go about your business, you know, put one foot in front of the other and take it day by day. And, you know, you always try to find the next game or next opportunity to kind of grow yourself and build something special here. And I think we got a lot of things that, you know, we're looking forward to because, you know, we faced so much stuff this year, and you know, we're right on the brink of playoffs. So yeah, I think overall, I think it sucks to not be in the playoffs, but we're in a good spot because, you know, our fire in our belly's probably going to get a little bit bigger this summer, and I think everyone can look in the mirror and be a little bit more accountable and figure out where we're going to be better moving forward. And you know, I think we're gonna take a couple next steps next year.
PD, last year you guys were really good at getting to the slot, getting to the good areas, getting chances. This year, I mean, similar lineup, obviously few new faces, but overall the core was the same. What was the difference? What was the struggle? Why you guys couldn't get to the good areas as well this year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, team scouts us, but yeah, I don't think I have the right answer now. Otherwise, I guess things would have been better, or we would have got more shots from there. But yeah, if it was chemistry with demons, or if it's, I don't know, don't have the exact answer.
Elias, there are some numbers that show that compared to 2 years ago, your skating speed has fallen off a decent bit, as well as the velocity of your shot. Do you maybe have some theories about why that's been the case?
Not exactly, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm not sure. But definitely gonna work on it.
For Kevin and anybody else if this applies, are you planning on going to the World Championships?
So we had this conversation with Team Finland, and I'm not going this year. I've had this little niggle that not gonna allow me to go this year, so I'm gonna focus on rest and recovery, and then keep building for next season instead.
Petey, Rick was here earlier, and he talked about you know, speaking to you earlier and wanting to make sure that you could meet the organization halfway. Where are you and Rick at? Like, do you feel that your relationship is good and he's the coach that can potentially get the most out of you?
Yeah, definitely. Rick is great. He's a good leader. He's teaching me a lot, teaching everyone. So yeah.
Elias, a couple of years ago, right before Bruce got hired, you'd gone through a stretch where you weren't on your game, and obviously you'd missed the previous season or 30 games in the previous season with injury. Are you able to draw on what you were able to overcome then in sort of approaching this summer and getting your game back on track?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, hockey, and I mean, I guess life generally is always ups and downs, and I'm always trying to live in the present and see what I can do better. And yes, I've had some stretches where I haven't been good, but also I've turned it around, and that's what I'm gonna do now too.
Thank you.
Philip, start with you. What can you tell us about what the last little bit here has been like for you since going out of the lineup with the injury? And I believe Rick said that you sort of talked about it maybe not being as bad as some of the concussions you've had in the past. How are you feeling now, and what are you looking forward to in the offseason?
Yeah, I feel good. It's just it's been nice couple of days to practice with the guys, and I really enjoy it. And it's great to head to the off season to be 100% ready and have a big summer now and be ready for September.
Niels, Rick Tocchet had a lot of good things to say to you, especially at the end of this season. How do you feel your year went this year?
Oh, yeah, sorry, say that again.
How do you feel your year went this year? With Rick Tocchet had a lot of good things to say to you, but especially at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a little bit rougher start, but feels like after New Year was refreshing for me. So, yeah, the half the year I felt I came back to my game a little bit better. So, yeah, the end of the year was better.
Teddy, you played 82 games. You're one of the few guys to do that. You clearly have a view on the entire season on when things were up and things were down. What, in your view, was the thing you guys maybe could have changed the most in hindsight?
I think it's tough to say. Point to just one thing. It felt like there's just always, challenges throughout the course of the year where it seemed like last year things just clicked right away, and we kind of took that momentum and ran with it. This year, kind of right away, there was, whether it was like media stuff going on, turmoil within the team, trades, then it's like injuries, one thing to the next. I think we weren't consistent enough in our performances. Even, second half, like we'd play one or two really great games and then come back the next night and be a little flat and get outplayed. So probably some maturity in our game as far as being able to be more consistent. I think we struggled playing with a lead this year, and that cost us in a number of games. And I think that's kind of same thing as, having a winning mentality, knowing how to win, knowing when to lock it down, when to not take chances, and kind of finding that balance. Because I think sometimes too, when you really try to lock it down and just defend, the other teams come at you in waves, and it's kind of hard to hold on to a lead that time. So that's something we struggled with. But I think the biggest thing is probably consistency, and yeah.
Philip, after the hit by Dickinson, we saw you going down the tunnel and you were visibly angry. Were you mad at the hit itself, or did you know in that moment that you had suffered another concussion? And what did you think of the hit at that stage of a game that was essentially over?
Yeah, I was not happy at that moment, but I was not thinking about that it should be that injury, that I'm gonna be out for next month. I was just frustrated from a lot of things, and at the time, how I said, I missed the most important month for our team where we were battling for the playoffs, and watching guys battling like that was not easy for me because I want to be on the ice every game. But it was harder for me to go through that because, how I said, I saw them to battle every night, winning the games in overtime, like getting the comebacks, and I was sitting at home and watching the games from my couch. So it was very frustrating, but it is how it is. And in my life, I approach the things that it comes with the reason, and I gotta focus what's in front of me, and how I said, it's a long summer, and I can work on so many things, and hopefully I'm gonna be healthy, and if I'm healthy, I know what I can do on the ice.
Dak, obviously a difficult situation for you to go through before and during the early stages of the season. Did you feel like you found your footing at any point, and just where do you think your game finished at this year in terms of being able to carry it over?
It was better down the stretch. That's when I felt my best. But overall, yeah, just a disappointing season by my part. And yeah, no, there wasn't really. It was hard to feel good about my game throughout most of the season. But yeah, I started to get it going late, and I just got to build off that and carry that into next season.
Dakota, just to follow up, because you missed so much of the first part of the season, does your training change? I mean, do you go into training mode, or is it going to be different than other summers because you missed so much time at the start of this year?
I mean, just for the fact that we have a longer summer, that yeah, we'll get started sooner. But yeah, so there's more days to train. So yeah, we'll get started sooner.
Nils, we know you're a close friend with Petey. This was a tough season for him, just on the ice. Teddy mentioned the turmoil in the room and all the drama that surrounded that. Was it just observing as a friend, was it tough to see him go through that? And are you confident that he can go into this off season and get better and come back stronger next season?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see your close friend. I mean, it was a tough year for him with everything was happening, but I think, I mean, this offseason is going to be a big offseason for him and come back better for next year. I think it's going to be a big summer for him.
Phil, we saw you get into a full team skate right toward the end of the year. Were you able to clear concussion protocol by the end of the season? And if so, what does that mean for your off-season training?
Yeah, that's why I had a blue jersey. I was clear, and that was great for my mental part as well. That I could skate with the guys. I could be in the drills like that, and it's huge for summer that I know I can start whenever I want and just go 100% to everything I want to do, and it's big for me and for my, how I said, for my head as well.
Just a general question: you guys going to the World Championships?
No.
Just one more for Dakota. Given sort of what you experienced early in the year, did it just feel like you were always playing catch-up this season in terms of trying to find your game?
I mean, injuries are a part of the game. So from that standpoint, like, yeah, it was tough starting behind, but you know, I played in enough games to where that wasn't an issue. It just it came down to my play that wasn't good enough. But no, it was unfortunate that happened, but by no means a reason or excuse for my play this season.
Teddy, one of the positives this season was the penalty kill and the way that it worked its way up to the top three. I think it finished. I know turnover happens, so personnel may not be back entirely, but if the coaching staff is back and the bulk of the guys that do the heavy lifting are back, is there any reason why the penalty kill can't sort of start at a high level and stay there all next season?
No, definitely not. I think, I think regardless of like what you said, even with the changes that might be coming, I don't think there's any reason why we can't be. I think, second half of the year, I think we got to the level that we all kind of thought we were capable of as a unit to be at, right at the top of the league. And, I think that was good for us. I think we had great continuity as far as like our pairings and even the D that were out there with us. And I think that helps a lot, even in little things like, when Phil's on the wall on the face-off, I know he's really good at edge battles, so he picks up a lot of those 50-50s, and that's a big advantage for us. So that's just like one little example, I guess, of how, us playing together and developing that chemistry has been helpful. So I think, we've been able to kind of use that to our advantage, and obviously the system that Footy had us playing was a good fit for us, and we were able to execute it pretty well.
All right, thank you.
Elias, we'll start with you. Just tell us about the experience of getting to play up in the NHL this year, and now that the season's come to an end, looking back on it, what you think you gained from the opportunity that you had here with the NHL team.
It's been a great experience for me. I think I learned a lot this year. So overall, it's been a great year for me. Thank you.
Is there any disappointment that you don't get to go down to Abbotsford and get into a few AHL playoff games?
I think, I don't know. I mean, that would have been a good experience, but right now I'm here and I'm looking forward for a big summer, so yeah.
Any chance you're going to play in the Worlds?
I haven't heard anything, so no.
Noah, good to see you. I think the last time I saw you, saw you hobbling down the hall. So
Yeah, it's probably good odds.
How frustrating is it to suffer an injury like that? You were playing a lot, and then all of a sudden, the season stopped.
Yeah, it sucked. Obviously, you never want to have surgery, not during the season. But I think obviously it's good that I got it dealt with. Hopefully, get healthy and be healthy going into next season.
Drew, coming in partway and joining this team, what's the experience been like this first bit of a season with the Vancouver Canucks?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I've enjoyed the group here. Obviously, it's been a little bit up and down the last little while, and we'd all obviously like to be in playoffs. So I think we're all pretty motivated, kind of headed into the summer to kind of make that happen. But it's been a great little while here, and I've enjoyed it.
Niels, what can you tell us about the injury that you sustained? Obviously, I'm sure very frustrating to have it happen at the time it did, in the way it did, and how you're feeling now and what your summer might look like as a result.
Yeah, I'm feeling good now. It's getting better. It's a shoulder injury, and it's not gonna affect my summer training, so that's good.
No, a lot's been made, obviously, of hometown guy getting a chance to play for the Vancouver Canucks and expiring contract. I'm sure there are things that have to be worked out in your absence. They rolled a whole bunch of guys in here through from the farm, so there are guys pushing from below. What do you look at as far as your future, and how much would you like to be back with this group?
Yeah, I think I really would like to be back. I think the last 2 years here in Van have been great for me as a player, and trying to build a group here that we can have for a while. So I'd love to be back, and yeah.
Drew, you immediately got a contract. They showed some faith in you after acquiring you. What does that say to you, and how do you approach this offseason in terms of making improvements, getting better, and stepping your game up now that you have this confidence from the management group?
Yeah, I think it's super important for me to have a big summer. Obviously it's a good feeling that they kind of wanted me here, and I was super happy to sign the extension to stay here. But now it's kind of up to me to continue to kind of grow into the player that they think I can become, and I think I can become. So yeah, it's important for me to kind of grow into that role, I think.
Noah, just to follow up on your injury, was it something that kind of went along and got to a point where you needed the surgery? And is it going to keep you from training full out, or can you go full out right now?
So I played through it from basically mid-October on until that point. So it was something we knew about, and then it just got to a point where it needed to be dealt with. So we did deal with it, obviously, and it's not going to hold me back. I'm 7 weeks in now to the rehab part of it, and I probably got 3 more to go until I'm full go.